Association of Educators. I want to welcome all of you all here tonight on behalf of making NCAE to our school board candidate forum. It's a fairly informal affair. The candidates were given all but one of the questions about a week and a half ago. I sent them one more question just to keep them on their toes a couple days ago. But all the candidates have received all the questions, so there's no gotchas. The point of the forum is for the candidates to be able to have an opportunity to reflect, just as we hope that they will take time and reflect before they make the momentous decisions that they'll make if they are elected to serve on the Macon County Board of Education. I'll introduce the candidates, and I'm introducing them the way that they appear on the ballot. In District 2, we have Tommy Kay. It's challenged by Bill Taylor. District 4, that race is for an open seat, Fred Goldsmith. And the other candidate for that seat is Carol Poindexter. The time limits for each question will work as follows. There'll be 2 minutes for any initial response. There'll be 90 seconds for any follow-up response. I'm going to start in order with Mr. Cave, and then we'll work on down the line. And then the next round of questions, we will start with Mr. Taylor, and then Mr. Goldsmith, and then Mr. Poindexter. We've got about 12, 13 questions. We'll try to get to all of them, but we'll try to wrap up about 8:15. First question is the first one that was on the list, gentlemen. What is the most pressing problem currently facing Macon County schools, and why are you the best candidate to help address that problem? Mr. Kay.
I really need this. I guess I got to use it. Money. Money's always been the problem the last few years. And the state promises things, but then they don't cover what they promise. So it falls back on the local commissioners, whatever, to cover that. So we really have to be prudent with what we do, where money goes, and we have been for the last few years. It's unbelievable what has happened the last 12 years that I've been on this board. Used to be able to go to any conference anywhere, no problem. I could brag about being from North Carolina. Now I won't even wear a North Carolina shirt. It's kind of scary. Why I'm the best? I guess since this is a nonpartisan office, I owe no group or person anything. I've been here long enough to know to not make promises. I'm one of 5, but I can work with anyone as long as it is for the betterment of the children of Macon County. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor.
Well, in my opinion, the most pressing issue, just like Tommy said, is a lack of proper funding. The county, in my opinion, has done way more than they should probably be asked to basically help the school system with these unfunded state mandates. A prime example is the iPads. The county, I think, went above and beyond what they're really required to do for something that I feel that the state should be responsible for. If you read into the Constitution of the state of North Carolina, one of the sentences in there is the state's responsibility to provide textbooks for the schools. I think that they're failing really bad in that area. As far as why I'm the best candidate for this job, anyone that knows me or has any dealings with anything that I'm involved with know that I'm probably one of the most passionate and energetic and driven individuals that you'll ever meet. As far as with the campaign, I have worked tirelessly to bring myself up to speed to learn the issues that's the most pressing for this county. So if I'm elected, I can guarantee the people of Macon County that I will work probably harder than anybody has ever tried to work for this job. So that's the reason why I'm the most qualified, I think.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goldsmith.
One of the main problems I see, at least one on the surface, is teacher and staff morale. The loss of personnel wearing many hats, the sharing of librarians and the media centers from school to school instead of just being in one school, the uncertainty of teacher assistants, and that, when you go to work and you're not certain about your job, that's got to be hard. Even bus drivers pay their morale is down because of the hours they work and the ramifications that there's no money there for overtime. The lack of book supplies, paper, et cetera, has already been mentioned. Another factor is that the maintenance repair bills are staggering now because just to keep the school system going, educating young people, it's put the capital outlay funds that hadn't been used for 6 or 7 years of a recession right now. Well, I'm the best candidate to deal with this. I believe my 14 years as a classroom teacher makes me understand a lot of these things. The 5 years I spent at Franklin High School, I taught end-of-course classes that required that we were being measured, which reflected on the school and the community. I've been on the inside as a teacher, and yet I've been able to work with people who are on the commission now. I feel like I could work with them. I'll give you a real quick answer. There, the CPS project, back in 2002, we needed a tremendous renovation to our stadium. We weren't allowed to hold playoff games because we didn't have the seats. Mr. Shields and I met. We went to people in the community. We raised funds for seat money to get started. But we had the community involved. We had the chairman of the school board. We had the chairman of the county commission. We had guys like Billy Van Hook, the wall out there. There's $95,000 worth of plaques on there. We had the people in the construction business came and their subs worked all of this, work free. A price tag was given us of $275,000. We spent about $130,000. But we brought the community together by communication, and nobody cared what party they were in, this, that. We had the politics out of it. Just the students in this community were at benefit of it. And so I've been involved with things like that, teaching, been on the inside, and also with the community work.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you. Just like, well, I think all of us unanimously agree we've got a lack of funds from the state. The county's having to pick up more and more of the slack. And Macon County is a rural county. And because it's a rural county, after you get past I-85 back this way, the funds start dwindling down. And we can see that with the lack of teacher pay, teachers being laid off. But through it all, I give credit to the existing board that our grandchildren and children have reached the up end to the 25% level in the whole state. So I give the board and the school system credit for that. You know, our teachers, they talk about a pay raise, it's still almost 8% below the national average. And, and they did that by cutting the teachers' assistants. Why I am the best candidate for this, I have 6 grandkids, 3 of them are in the Macon County school system. I'm active in their lives. You know, I was born and raised here, got a business degree here, and just across the mountain. I have no fancy awards, no plaques, no endorsements, but big endorsements like Mark Meadows, anything like that. We live in a unique time today. And as we live in this unique time, I have some unique skills that we can bring to this board and help the county. I'm going to have to be a payroll every week. I'm licensed under 3 state boards. I'm also licensed in the Department of Insurance. I'm an NCAE approved instructor and electrical instructor. I have an accounting background, personnel management. And the biggest thing is to recognize the problem and figure out how to solve it. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cade, would you like to follow up?
No, I said what I need to say on this.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Goldsmith, any follow-up? Okay. One point of information, I can't, the teacher hat never really comes off. The unfunded mandate with the iPads, just for the benefit of those that are in the audience and from the media who might report on that. The state did not mandate iPads per se, but they have mandated that all LEAs be prepared for 100% online testing. So implied in that edict is some sort of capacity at each building to be able to take all the standardized tests. And Macon County chose, one of the avenues that was available were tablets, and that's the way that we went. So some sort of technology was mandated, and we chose to go with the iPad. All right, second question. And it's the second question on your sheet, the second question that was sent to you. And I won't read the whole part of the North Carolina Constitution, how it calls for a general uniform system. That North Carolina is one of the few states that has a guarantee for a good public education in our state constitution. The key part of my question is this: in your opinion, is the current General Assembly fulfilling its obligations to local school systems? And I think you've more or less answered that. I think the tougher question is the next part there. If it isn't, how do you plan to deal with that budgetary gap? If the General Assembly is, in your opinion, currently meeting its obligation, how do you plan to ensure that it continues in the future? And we'll start with Mr. Taylor.
As I stated previously at the League of Women Voters Forum, one of the points of contention that I have has to do with lottery funding. Previous General Assemblies decided that it was in the best interest of the state to tap into this funding that was supposed to go strictly to education to fund different projects. To me, that's wrong when it was sold to the people of North Carolina as an education lottery. I've spoken to numerous county officials, county commissioners, and they are all in agreement that that should be their #1 priority for the coming year. Also, it's the #1 priority for the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. My personal opinion is at least 50%, if not more, should be returned back to education instead of funding other general fund projects. I vowed to work with whoever, wherever, whenever, to ensure that we can get the proper amount of funding back to the schools, away from different projects that the lottery was never meant to fund in the beginning. Thank you.
Mr. Goldsmith.
Well, I agree that we have a shortage, there's no question there. But we have to have a plan. One, I think the board and the commissioners, we have to have a plan so we're prepared and we're not reacting all the time. We have to work through the proper protocol with the commissioners and also with the influential power structure in our community to get things done. One of the things that I've looked at from the start is the lack of funding we have for the 2 K through 12 schools that we have that are very expensive to operate. They're very good schools, but we're bound by our geographic region that those schools are very vital to their communities and a true necessity. But in North Carolina, there's another county that has 1 K through 12 school. It's very unique to have. There's only 2 of us. And the other county has special funds from the legislature to help with that. We have 2. We have no special funds. I've talked to our state senator about this. He has proposed this twice in the last 2 sessions of legislature. He's told me he has not got much help. So I think through preparation with our commission, some other influential people, working together, I don't think we can be just hollering and yelling about this one or that one. We have to work together for the benefit of the students in Macon County, and to have that kind of plan and get together and try to get that legislation passed for us. I think that can be a big, because there's not much funding out there, and this is something that, by precedent in the state, we deserve, and we have, we ought to be able to get.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you. Just before I tell you, go into the part that maybe that we can remedy some of this, let me really tell you how bad it is. There have been over 17,000 positions that have been laid off. It's and over 6,000 more. 33% of the teachers and 33% of the assistant teachers are gone. But here's the problem. In the state of North Carolina, the population of students have grown to 16,000 in the past 4 to 5 years. And I just don't think Raleigh has been prepared for that. But one thing I need to make clear, that we, as a board, a school board, if we have no way to raise funds. All the thing that we can do is go to the commissioners, go to the legislators, and just like these others have said, try to get them to pass some kind of law to increase funding. But here's one novel idea that is happening in 5 or 6 counties in the state of North Carolina. If our back in Macon County gets pushed to the wall, and I've talked to some of the commissioners about this, is instead of property taxes going up on the increase to cover education, is get an educational plan together for the county. And if the people in Macon County want to vote on it, and it's the people of Macon County, not the school board, not Carol Poindexter, not the county commissioners, but they can vote in a 25-cent sales increase tax. And in the counties that has done this, and I'm not promoting this, but the ones that has, it keeps the property taxes lower without raising them. But if the state legislature completely cuts this county off in Western North Carolina, those rural counties, you know, we're going to have a plan in place before that happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cate.
He's smart. First answer, no. You said I had to do up shorter from last time. I guess I got to follow up on that. But being that we are a non-taxing entity, we're beggars. I've said this ever since I was first elected. We can't make money. Florida, these other states can't. They are a taxing entity. They go out. They can raise their taxes. We can't. We have to get it from state, federal, local. Local has helped us. I have no problem with what they've done. But more and more is going to be put on us. And sure, I'm old. I hate my taxes going up. I don't like it at all. But if it has to do with children, I'm willing to bite that bullet and go with it. And I think the biggest part of our population would. So the lottery, again, you go to any conference and the lottery people are there and they're bragging on how much money we're getting. Go to Georgia and see what money they're using, what they're using our lottery for. That's the reason we're losing our teachers to Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, wherever. So we do what we can with what we've got. I said, I kind of made a joke, but when we spend 2 or 3 hours at the budget meeting trying to figure out how to spend a couple $100, that's about all we can, it seems like. It's pitiful. It's really scary. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Mr. Taylor? Mr. Goldsmith, any follow-up? Mr. Poindexter? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that we've got to get together and do what a lot of our colleagues up here are saying, but somehow the good of the students has got to be there and the politics removed. This cannot be conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican issue. Politics have to be removed for it, and then we can sit down together and work together and things will work out.
Mr. Poindexter?
Just one other thing, like I say, I chime in with them, you know, the biggest thing here is the interest of the students. Our children and grandchildren is the future of this county. And we're going to hand it off to them, and they need to be well educated enough to take it by the horns and move on. And that is our responsibility as a county as a whole, even if we don't have kids. But we just need to educate people to that fact. Because one of the things that economic development and growth is these businesses look for a well-educated workforce. And, you know, we don't have a lot of industry and a lot of high-tech jobs coming into Western North Carolina. But that's what they look for, a well-educated workforce.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on now to question number 5, and that's going to start with Mr. Goldsmith. That question is, what do you see as the capital outlay priorities for Macon County schools?
The capital outlay the last few months is, I think the capital outlay has been shown aside, as I said before, for 6 or 7 years of the recession because of the necessity of using every bit of funds to educate the students. I believe just listening to all the, you know, air conditioners here, this here, alarms here, this and that, you know, it's in a crisis situation. And so, one, I think somewhere in the budget we need a larger contingency fund to keep up with these things, just like you do in your home, your church, or whatever. So there's funds there that are not in the normal operating budget to keep up with the things. And we can get out of this crisis. But right now, there's a lot of new things. The new building's been put off in Highlands. I know that's a big priority. But there's so many things. But just repairing what we have right now is a real big problem.
Thank
last work session of the ones that are desperately need and the other things that they're looking long range for, and I think they've done the homework for us up here of the things that are coming up, that some of it are several $1,000s that needs to be done. And in that aspect, I appreciate that. But, you know, here's where I kind of step out beyond these gentlemen up here. I don't take that away from them. But as a background in commercial work and as an estimator and also as an electrician, you know, I'm familiar with these things, and that's where we can get the best bang for our buck as we proceed to take care of these things. And I know the commissioners have to approve some of this stuff and bring it in, and the school board has to go through that. But we just need to make sure that these things are going to last for years to come. And yes, the things because of recession has bled down. But here's the thing about capital outlay: the three top priorities: safety, security, and efficiency. Efficiency should come in last, but most important, safety and security. I know the school board and the school is chipping away at it. The last meeting they had agreed to go ahead and get some more bids and do some carpet replacement. And you know, somebody can hang a heel on it and break an ankle or leg, and they've been a lawsuit. But they are chipping away at it, but there's just not enough funds there, so we need to go down that road to get more funds. But if we can make more efficiency, and that way they can save money on the other end too.
Thank you. Mr. Cade?
I know years ago when I guess I was first elected, we had priorities. We've done some of this. We built some schools. Step right out these doors, look at this high school. I mean, it was here when I was here, and that was for dirt. We're going to need a high school somewhere down the road. I know it's not going to be in the immediate future, but that is going to be a major capital. What we need now is we got a middle school that's 30-something years old. I look at South Macon, and I think, you know, they built this the other day. It wasn't. It's been about a few years. East Franklin, even though we've done some repairs over there, I owned that school, 3rd grade. I don't even think I remember how far back that was. But these things need maintenance. We got a maintenance department that are using Band-Aids to take care of these things, and they've done a great job. We have great personnel that are doing magical things with nothing. But we need to supply them with stuff, and we don't have the money to do it. But we need to have prioritized. We made a list of things that we just have to have for the safety of the kids. We've got to educate them in a safe environment, and that's getting more apparent every day. So once we, you know, we beg for more money and hope for the best, and we'll do it as we get the money. We do what we can. We prioritize pretty good. Reed up back there, he keeps us fairly straight, so don't take your head at me, you're the taskmaster. But really, we do what we can with what we've got. And there are things that needs that we have. You know, if something breaks down, we really don't have the money to repair it. We've got to beg for them commissioners again. So that's where we're at. Let's hope it gets better.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
I've had a chance to attend several of the school board meetings over the last several months, and I, as well, have looked at the capital outlay list that the school system has in place. The three that jump out at me that I personally have seen: the high school wing in Highlands is going to need some serious renovation before long. Union Academy looks like it's abandoned. And 3, Macon Middle School. Like Tommy said, it's 30-something years old, and it's time that we're going to have to seriously consider investing some money and bring it up to the 21st century. There are some safety issues that I witnessed at middle school that I think need to be addressed now. And there's no telling what that would cost, but I've actually witnessed things that I would consider a safety hazard at the middle school. There's water problems in the band room at the middle school, and this is the new part of the school. The old part structurally seems in better shape than the new. To me, I have a hard time understanding how the newer part is in as bad a shape structurally as it is. But But that to me are the three priorities that I personally witnessed in my travels around the school system.
Thank you very much. Coach Goldsmith, follow up.
I just want to say one more thing about it, too, with affecting this as well, is again, is the staff shortage. The people who are in charge of maintenance, they're doing a tremendous job, but they are tremendously short-handed right now. So that affects the repairs, and when things break down, if they can't be repaired in time, then all of a sudden, you need new replacements. And so that again, that personnel shortage is affecting this major area.
Mr. Poindexter, Mr. Cave, any follow-up?
I'm good.
Mr. Taylor? Okay. Let's go on to question number 6. We'll start with Mr. Poindexter on this one. Number 6 is, what do you see as the most substantial issue facing Macon County schools today that is not essentially a financial, fiscal, economic issue? And what do you think we should be doing to address it?
Our children and grandchildren's education is the most important resource that we have. Our teachers is our most important asset as far as the education of our children. There's a great divide from local school districts and the state level. We're naive if we think that politics can stay out of education. Let me explain. No one truly wants a national educational run federal system. It needs to be funded at the state level and ran basically by the local school system and the local level. And as Raleigh continues to cut funds back, the governance side, it needs to be completely, I think, overhauled in Raleigh. That's just the bottom line from my standpoint. Because these rural counties, it's just like the auditor said over at the last board meeting. He was concerned because rural counties are behind a hate ball for part of these schools, like you talk about Mecklenburg County around the Raleigh area and the Triad over in Guilford County. Because we are rural. A gentleman told me the other day he went and cut brochures to all the schools for some kind of a probation thing. And when he went, he said it took him 8 hours to visit each school in Macon County. You just can't go back here and get on the I-85 and go. But that being said, we need to go back to the fact is we as a team effort, the community and the county commissioners need to get together and have us a backup plan if the state is going to continually cut funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cave.
It's hard to answer this question without going back to money, economics, because everything depends on that. We have oversized classes. You put 25 kids, little kindergartners, first graders, in a class with one teacher. How do you even go to the bathroom? I wouldn't trust 25. My granddaughter in a room by herself while I had to go out of the room. So that's financial. Plus, we have some of the best people, not only, and this is from the ground up, bus drivers, lunch people, maintenance, anywhere, our teachers, our principals. They're the best in the country. I'll take that anywhere, and I've been all over this country, conferences, wherever. We can compete with anybody. But look at what we're doing. We're losing our best. I look at these young people that coming right out of college, Western, that is not teaching near as many students as they used to as teachers. But we used to have a prime area here. They were begging to come here because it's a good place to raise your family, good economics. Everything was great about it. Now, Texas comes in and sets up a booth somewhere, Charlotte somewhere, and they're hiring our best away because they can pay for it. Go down to Georgia. We just lost a principal down there because he could go 7 miles down the road and make more money. I see these young teachers that would be great teachers in our system. Where are they going? They're going to Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia, somewhere, anywhere they make more money. We're hiring people from up north. I got nothing against Yankees. I got a daughter that's a Yankee. But still, why are we having to hire from out of our system? We have always been, we hire locally. That's been great. We've tried. Mr. Shields has been one that pushed that. And that, I wish we could keep it up. But without, here again, money, we're losing our best. And that's hurting me. It's hurting our system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor.
In my opinion, this was probably the toughest question that was asked of all of us. That's my opinion. The one thing that I think I would consider the most substantial is if you'll look around at how few people we actually have here tonight for something that is as serious as the education of our youth. Personally, I would love to see every seat filled, people sitting in the floor and out the door. I have personally witnessed just almost a lackadaisical attitude when it comes to education from the citizens of Macon County in certain respects. I personally want to see us get the parents, the teachers, the churches. I want everybody in Macon County behind our kids. Okay? I'm a firm believer that the foundation of our state is the education of its youth. And we have to find a way to get the citizens of Macon County excited about this. We spend a lot of our tax money on the school system. I personally want to be involved with where my tax money is going to go. That to me is the greatest issue that we're facing short of money. How do we fix it? I don't know. That's something that there's going to take a lot of people to try to figure out that answer.
Mr. Goldsmith.
All right, let's look at the half full part of the Coke bottle. It's a non-financial issue, supposedly, but we have great assets in our teachers. We need to do the same thing academically that we do in our athletic programs and some of our music programs. Let's sell it. We have a great product. We've got to sell it to the public. And what I mean by that is we have to have communication of the academic opportunity that's here for our students. There's a great opportunity here. 2 years ago, I gave a graduation speech at Franklin High School. That speech took 9 minutes, but I used the whole speech of what, here's your opportunity. Here's what Franklin High School students have done. And I went down that list just like that. You talk about great achievements. Well, those same types of students are here right now today, and we have great teachers. We don't have a huge turnover in Macon County. People like to be here. I'll tell you this, I talked to 2 teachers that had siblings that are teaching in Georgia right now. They both told me, these are young teachers. We are much happier than our siblings. We would like to have that money, but we'd rather work here. But we have to do things to get this out there. We have to bring the newspapers into the classroom, talk about teacher assistants. The older generation, it was a different time. The older generation doesn't think we need teachers assistants because we didn't have it. But at that day and age, we had 2 parents in every home. These kids are coming to school. If you look at the rolls, if you look at the address, parents' name, phone numbers, very few have the same name as the kids, or there's only one. It's a different time. When those kids come to class, they need more individual instruction. It's being given. Reading is taught differently. You've got reading corners where teachers they've got their systems of themselves teaching reading to kids individually, not in a row of 40 like we used to have. But that's what's needed today. But we need newspaper articles. We need things out on the internet of what's showing a life in the day in an elementary school, K through 4, and showing what's going on in that classroom. Let's sell it, and the people will have a much better, idea of what's happening in those classrooms. Back to school night, open houses, right out loud. You talk about the attendance here, Bill. You ought to try. And you have 25, 30 in your classroom. You got 4 show up, maybe 5, and they're the ones that don't need to be there. Their kids are making good grades when they're in school every day. I've been to inner city schools in Detroit. It doesn't get much worse. Philadelphia, places like that. But I can remember going in there and recruiting and going in the middle of the winter, and the schools are packed. You had to go to the school to see the parent and the kid, and you had almost 100% attendance at a back-to-school night. Somehow we've got to make that where they got to pay an awful price if they're not there. And get those parents involved, sell them what's going on on, sell the community the good things, because we have a lot of good things here. And money can't buy all the good things that we have here. We have teachers that love teaching in Macon County. They roll with the punches, go around and on. Let's sell what they're doing. Let's put it in the papers. Let's put it on the screens. And we've got something here that can raise our morale.
Thank you. Mr. Poindexter, and also extend this to the other three folks, since Mr. Goldsmith went a little bit over there. If you want some extra time on the rebuttal, you're welcome to it.
I'm good on the rebuttal.
Okay. Mr. Cade, Mr. Taylor? Okay. Guys are easy. Let's go down to question number 10. And we're starting with, back to Mr. Cade on this one. Question number 10, what do you see as the role of the teacher, not only in terms of delivering instruction in a classroom, but in terms of district-wide decision-making related to curriculum and the budget? How would the teacher corps be included in the decision-making process?
That's tough too. Teachers are mainly there to teach, we know that. But you have to have the info from them. That's one reason years ago I promised that you're going to see me in the schools. I'm not going to get elected today and you're not seeing me again in 4 years. Every day, almost, I'm in some school somewhere. I admit I've slacked off a little in Highland and Atlanta, who can afford the gas to go to these places. Don't go as often. But I'm in the classroom. I do listen to people. These teachers are telling us what they need. That's how we find out. They're not going to talk to you out on the street, but if they get you in a corner at school, lunchroom late, any of these people will. So these teachers and principals, we make some of the final decisions, but they're the ones that tell us what these decisions should be. So go to your classrooms, go to these people, listen to them. You listen to them, they're going to tell you what they want done. They don't have to come to a meeting. They don't have to be part of the process of sitting in a budget meeting, even though we usually have one or two. But just go out there. They'll tell you. I promise you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor.
Pretty much the teachers are where the rubber meets the road. They know better than anybody in the school system what works and what doesn't work, where money needs to go and where it doesn't need to go. The teachers and the principals, their input is invaluable to the directors, so that the directors can come back to the superintendent can come to the Board of Education and say, this is what we need. If we ignore what the teachers say, then we're fighting a losing battle. The teachers are the ones that know really what works the best. They know how to implement it way better than any four of us that are sitting up here. The school improvement teams are probably one of the most valuable resources that the school system has, and I see no reason why we would change the way that it's working, because from what I've been told, it works really, really well.
Thank you, Mr. Goldsmith.
I'll start with the role of the teacher in the classroom instruction first. One, they need to be prepared. They have the expertise and study and be prepared with their subjects. Two, they need to be organized. They need to have their material. When those kids walk in the door, they need to have their material in hand. The worst thing that you can think of, just the mechanics of teaching. See, most of them, well, everybody has to go through to be certified methods of teaching their particular subject, methods of teaching and education. Physical education teacher's not supposed to stand there with the students having to look at the sun. You look at the sun. The classroom teacher, every head right on the board, all the notes for the day. You're going to lose them. But if they're already up there, you can get started, you can talk, you can have dialogue and conversation both ways. You need to have those two-way conversations, that have discipline in the classroom, but you need to have participation. Those are all critical things in being a classroom teacher. Have relevance. And I mentioned participation. Now, the teacher's role in the curriculum, there's protocol, again, involved in there. Like in any system, you got to have a protocol. The classroom teacher, there should be older teachers in that department heads specifically, that are mentoring the younger teachers. To those department heads, they're sharing their knowledge with these teachers, but also there's a lot of time that young teachers say, how come we don't do it like this? Well, light bulbs might go on. Through that department head, it should come to the principal, or probably in a high school, usually it comes to the assistant principal who's in charge of academics. And get those ideas, have them hash it over to the principal take it to the board feels good about it, you know, and enable them to have those things. That's an important thing. And so that's the way it needs to come. The ideas come, you know, the curriculum from the teachers. I'll never forget teaching the ELP, the old civics course here and everything. The 1 year the state didn't have the test because they were putting together the test, greatest thing in the world. We said, hey, we can actually spend more time on the Constitution of the United States than having to collect garbage in Raleigh. You know, and Carol mentioned the thing about all these things, you know, from downstate. Well, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that they had to be responsible for in the end of course test in the civics course. And so we were able to do a much better job of educating them just by what we put together as teachers here.
Mr. Poindexter.
What I say is, on vision, you know, an educational system is a lot different than in the private sector. You know, you're not trying to beat your teacher down the hall out of a promotion or out of a raise. Teachers cooperate and they teamwork, and they do that for the sake of our children and grandchildren, and for their betterment. And they work together. And you know, we as working as a team can press forward not just in each school, but the whole district, and we can build a stronger White County bond. You know, over the past couple of years, you know, I think that the teachers have been kind of been victimized a little bit over this pay thing and the things they do. I took my grandkids back when it was so cold, and it was, I think, 4 below zero, and those teachers were out front getting those kids in school before they froze to death. You know, you can call them teachers, but they're security guards, they're nurses, they're psychologists, they're counselors to parents, numerous things. But here's the thing. Even if I don't get elected, I would love the school board and the principals and teachers to look into these programs such as Failure's Not an Option or the Hope Foundation. You know, work something out that fits this county. Work something out that fits our children here in Macon County. You know, we don't have to spend a dime on that. We can set up committees with principals, the teachers, and then they can recommend things to the school board. But you know, we've got to work together to do this as a county as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cave, any follow-up?
Yeah, again. You know, like he was saying, we don't get the people out there, but look at what we're doing. We have an aging population. Most of our kids, I remember one year we had a class, my ex did, that had 90% of the kids had the same two parents they was born with. Best class she ever had. A couple years later, most of these kids, 80% of them were raised with grandparents. These people can't come out to meetings like this. They're past their bedtime. Almost past mine, but anyway. When you get older, they can't do this stuff. Look at how many children in our system are not raised with two-parent families anymore. It makes it tough. And the ones that are, they're working 2 jobs to make ends meet. It's a scary situation we live in. It's not just here. It's all over the country. I travel. It's anywhere. I go to different school systems to talk to them. It's the same anywhere you go. We're not loners out here, but we have to work with each other, commissioners, whatever, to try to improve, and we can. We've got the ability here in Macon County to do it. Let's do it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor. Okay. Mr. Goldsmith, any rebuttal? Mr. Poindexter? Question number 9, and we're going to start with Mr. Taylor on question number 9. What is the proper role of a school board member in relation to a building principal or a classroom teacher?
In my opinion, the proper role of a school board member is to ensure that that principal and those teachers have all the tools and resources they need to make our children the most properly prepared and educated that we can possibly have. That is literally what I consider their number one priority.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Goldsmith.
Proper role of a board member in relation to the principal and faculty is to share their commitment to excellence, observe through proper protocol their methods, learn their needs, and be a resource board, person on the board to the students and the faculty so they can pursue a commitment to nothing but excellence.
Thank you very much, Mr. Poindexter.
The role of the school board, when it occurs to the building principal or teachers or superintendent, from outside looking in, it's pretty much like a top management position. You're not, as a school board member, and this is my opinion, we don't need to micromanage the teachers or the principal or the superintendent. But in that aspect, it's like I chime in the rest of them, we need to ensure that they've got all their needs. But also, I would, have an open door policy to where if there is an issue or a problem or even a pilot program that somebody may want to introduce, sit down and discuss it and then bring it to the board. But the bottom line is, my point is the teachers know what their job is, the superintendent knows what their job is, the staff knows, and they've got people that are over them in the same way with the principal. But we just need to be careful not micromanage.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cade.
I think you gentlemen pretty well answered it, but we have the best people in the world, in my opinion. We hired the best in the last 12 years. We've had some that weren't the best, maybe, but right now we have the best personnel in position to run these schools. We have the best teachers, best principals. Principals now, a lot of them are running schools. They should have an assistant. You don't have the money to do that. They're having to do it all. So it makes it tough. I'm too loud, I guess. But anyway, that's all we can do. We got the best. Let's try to keep it that way. And give them anything, listen to them, they'll tell us what they need. Try to get it for them. Script and say whatever we have to. Do some band-aids, like I say. They'll work.
Any follow-up, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Goldsmith, Mr. Poindexter? Okay. We will move on to question number 4, and we're going to start with Mr. Goldsmith on this one. Okay. It's a long one.
It's a second go.
It's your favorite one.
Okay, due process.
Let me read it out for the benefit of people who don't know about it. Recently, the General Assembly of North Carolina attempted to take away due process rights for veteran teachers, a move which was struck down by a state court. And full disclosure, I was one of 6 plaintiffs in that case. It's still being litigated. It's in the appellate process as we speak. I just got an update today. However, newer teachers can no longer be given continuing contracts, nor automatic due process procedures. The General Assembly has forbade local boards from awarding continuing contracts, but local boards may pass due process policies. Would you here this evening commit to passing a due process policy along the lines of one that was attached? And just to make it simple here, at the end of, say, 4 or 5 years of employment here in Macon County Schools as a new teacher or as a transfer, the proposed model is a template that has been created by NCAE and been vetted by NCAE legal counsel, that at the end of 4 or 5 years, the board would have then the opportunity to confer upon that teacher not a continuing contract, but a due process right. That if down the road the principal superintendent decided to not renew that teacher's contract, that teacher would be afforded a due process hearing. So the question is, would you commit to Macon County Schools adopting such a policy? Again, we're starting with Mr. Goldsmith.
Well, the law has been done, so there's no sense going back over the 10-year policy and things like this. But I believe in this, in the county, we can adopt due process. It's the American way of life, really, in business, and in a lot of systems in education. I think it'll be fine. I agree with due process. It makes the dismissal, firing, so to speak, of a bad employee. It makes it possible, if their performance is been duly noted, records kept, that an administrator can relieve that teacher of their duties. They have to have evaluations. That's already been in place, so teachers have evaluations, conferences about core evaluations and performance, and to have written substantiation of these and the way things are today, and have been for quite some time in the county. The administrators have done a good job of that. The records are in the teacher's file, and the teacher has their copies, so they know where they stand. But they do deserve due process. For instance, in a case that went before the North Carolina Supreme Court, Joyner versus Parkman County, the ruling came down December of 2013. In that case, the principal and the superintendent said the teachers should be given their continuing contract or reemployed. They had a contract to be reemployed. Well, some people came to the school board, and the school board decided they went into closed session. They didn't want this teacher employed anymore. Well, that was ruled against by the Supreme Court. You have to have due process, and the processes go through recommendations of principals and the superintendent and the school board. That should stand. So that was a case that we just had a year ago. But you know, it can work both ways. I had a secretary at one time that I was getting ready to dismiss. And I brought her in and went over evaluations. But what happened, I lost a coach that same day. Went to the University of Nebraska. I had a whole lot more mind on replacing that defensive coordinator than I did that secretary that day. So I sat her down and I went over evaluations. I'm gone 25 years, or no, it's not 25 years, 15, 20 years. She's still there and she's doing a wonderful job. So the process works, whether it makes an employee better or you do have to relieve an employee. Due process, the American way of giving somebody justice and right to appeal, does work. And it will work one way or another as long as good records are kept and good evaluations are made.
Thank you, Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you. Let me just tell you just a short life story here about me, due process, and I go along with it, run parallel. When I was young as a child, my dad was hired with the DOT. And during the time that he was at the DOT, at that time, every 4 years, every time they changed a governor from D or R, whichever which way, they fired everybody. And every 4 years, I could tell as a child growing up the stress that us, even as kids, when we got old enough, we sensed the stress that we were under when it come election time every 4 years that my dad was under. But anyway, Dad weathered the storm, but the Supreme Court said that's enough. You know, they said that they have to have due process, and that made it able for some of these gentlemen to retire working for the Department of Transportation. But I said that to say this: yes, I'm in favor of due process. Like I say, they've got their own idea down there in Raleigh, but you know, nobody should have a right to fire a teacher because she wears a pair of red shoes in, let's say, or she wears tennis shoes in instead of boots in, or just for anything, you know. And the due process, my thing is, even if they're, you know, a fire teacher, they don't have to be the teacher of the year. But see, as the teachers, just like in industry, as longevity goes on, they become more valuable to the school system. And there again, I don't understand that there. Also, just like you said, you know, if we have due process, it could cut down or eliminate lawsuits because, you know, the contract process. But the bottom line of it is 3-4 years, those teachers get more valuable. Staff gets more valuable. They have to have less supervision, maybe less guidance. They know what the policy is, and in return, they can help those younger teachers that come in. So yes, I do believe due process, and we should have maybe have something amended, maybe worded enough to where we, the average person, can understand instead of having a lawyer to interpret all that stuff.
That would be, that's a dream right there. Mr. Cade?
Yes. I know you're going to look more than that. As long as their attorney can come up with something that's legal, that we're not going to get sued about, or the state's going to come back and say you can't do that, that's why we hired a good attorney. You guarantee I'll do it, because our teachers need to have protection they can get.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor.
I fully support a due process policy in Macon County Schools. As far as the exact wording, I believe that there are 4 other members of the school board that need to have input on that, as well as the superintendent and, of course, the lawyers. But yeah, I'm 100% behind a due process policy because I that's one way that we can guarantee that, so that someone doesn't come in with a vendetta that might possibly want to get rid of someone in the wrong way. So yes, I would support it 100%.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goldsmith. Any follow-up? Mr. Poindexter, any more follow-up? Mr. Cade? Okay. We will go on to question number 12. Teachers, building principals, and sometimes superintendents are frequently under actual or tacit pressure to promote students, and sometimes to increase graduation rates. Who should have the final say on passing a course or a grade, and why? Is quality of work and attendance more important in passing, or promotion and graduation rates more important? And we're starting on that one with Mr. Poindexter.
When it comes to the student, whether they pass or not, maybe if they're close to borderline, I believe the final say needs to be that teacher. And here's my reason why. Yes, it may look good on the graph, but here's where I'm coming from. That teacher knows that student has probably spent 9 months with that student, and they know whether if they've got the material or not. All of us are not test takers. I'm just telling you like it is. I took 14 state tests. I passed 12 of them. 2 of them I failed first go around. But anyway, some of us are not. You may take a couple of tests or whatever, and that child, and it may be something at home. But the thing is, I think the final say should be that teacher. Now, don't get me wrong, the superintendent and the principal could have input in it, but the bottom line is what is more important than a line on a graph is that student. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cade.
Well, the teacher and the principal, they're in the front lines. They're the ones that know where the students stand. This automatic passing, they did it when I was a student. They've done it ever since, I guess, to some extent. But just to get our graduation rates up, we have quality teachers, we have quality students. We don't have to push them along. If we give them the education that they're capable of receiving, we don't have to do this. They will get the problem. We might have to put them in a special class for a little while. They will get the education. They don't hold it back a year. Sometimes I wish I had my son. He was a little short fella, and he sure helped out if I held him back, got him a little taller. But this is what we've got to do. We just educate them. Don't just pass them on because that'll make us look good in the paper or in Raleigh. Keep these students in school till they're educated, because that's our future. I may not be around to see them. Some of you will. And your livelihood may depend on what these children learn in school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Short answer is the teachers and the principals are the ones that should have the final say on whether a kid is ready to graduate and enter the world. No one else, in my opinion, knows if that kid is properly prepared like that teacher and that principal. As far as graduation rates, it's a number. A number means just a number. I personally want someone that has a comprehension of the subject there every day, or as many days as humanly possible, over graduation day or rate any day. So the teachers and the principals are the ones that should have the final say.
Thank you. Mr. Goldsmith.
I agree with my colleagues, but we do have a attendance policy. The teacher, he's going to notify that student, he or she, that they're moving towards violation of that policy, and they're not going to pass it, they're not going to be there. And then they need to be backed up by the principal. To me, it is an insult. It's a matter of respect and enabling. If you don't come to that class, that's disrespectful to the teacher. If you're a brilliant student, you don't think you need that class, it's disrespectful, because you could be there making a positive contribution to that class. If you're a student who may not want to come because you're not having much success in school, the teacher has the opportunity to encourage that. We've got to make sure that that's there and find out, is it being arrogant why they're not coming to school, or is it lack of confidence why they're not coming to school? But the policy has to be enforced. The teacher, I think it's the primary person, but they have to be backed 100% by that principal. I'll never forget one time I was the dean of 12th grade attendance, so graduation hung on it. And I got a call from somebody in the governor's office pressuring me to, don't worry, don't turn in all those things or whatever it was, do what it takes for this child to graduate. That was ridiculous. It never should have got to me. It should have been right there. Here's the policy. The principal had the policy, boom, that's the end of it. And so it is a lack of respect for the teacher. And if we let them get away with it, and in the name of graduation rates, we're enabling that student, because what's going to happen, they're going to go to Western, or they're going to go somewhere, or they're going to go to work someplace. And if they decide they can go to work when they want to and not go to work when they want to, or go to class in college and not go to class, they're going to be a failure. We'd enable that.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Mr. Poindexter? Okay.
I just want to make one little quick comment on that as a parent and grandparent. That from that standpoint, not as a school board member, but as a parent or grandparent with a child or grandkid and a child in school, to me, and I think that the teachers would agree with this, it is more important for that child to know the material. And if they don't know the material, yes, he or she may need to be held back. But the possibility, even in my own personal life, my daughter-in-law, we decided to hold one of our grandkids back, and the teacher, and he flourished after that. So what I'm saying is the teacher knew. She said, maybe he needs just a little bit more instruction. So, we as parents and grandparents, which I know we don't have a lot here tonight, but, we need to give the teacher the benefit of the doubt, and they need to make that decision, because you're like, Mr. Taylor said, that's where the rubber meets the road. But that teacher impacts that child for 9 months. Also, that child impacts that teacher for 9 months. Thank you.
Any follow-up, Mr. Gabe?
Yeah. Everybody's hoping I wouldn't get to my stories, but I got one I just got to take. Used to, when I could substitute teach before I got elected, I was teaching ISS at the high school. This young lady came up, said, "I'm going to check out." I said, "Okay, you have to call your parent." "I don't have a parent, got a guardian, grandma." So we called grandma. She got on there. I said, "Lady," do you want this young lady to leave school, middle of the day?" "Well, I don't really want her to, but you know how kids are. They're going to go with their friends after lunch or whatever." I said, "Ma'am, all you got to do is tell me no. This young lady won't leave here. She'll go back to class." "Well, you can do that?" "Yes, ma'am." I sent her back to class. I'm just glad that young lady didn't know what kind of vehicle I drove, because I probably had 4 flat tires that evening. But that's all we got to do is stand up to a lot of these grandparents, older folks like me. We don't understand the new generation, maybe, and we let them rub shot over us. But if they start missing school, there goes your education. They've got to be there to learn it. And we can't wait. We can't hold the other kids back waiting for this kid to come in and say, "Okay, we're going back 2 days to catch you up." Can't do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, any follow-up? Mr. Goldsmith, any follow-up? Okay. I'm going to wrap it up there, and I'm going to let each one of you, starting here with Mr. Taylor, let you give us a 2-minute wrap-up. Any last comments that you would like to make?
It's not going to take 2 minutes, because if you paid attention to my answers tonight, you know I'm not long-winded. I just want to say that I firmly believe that we have the greatest group of teachers, administrators, custodians, lunch ladies, bus drivers of any county in the state. I've been fortunate enough to get to travel around and visit some of the schools, and I cannot describe to you how amazed that I am every time I walk into a school. These people are absolutely unreal. And if I'm elected, I will be honored to represent them and all the kids in Macon County to the best of my ability, to ensure that when they graduate from Franklin High School or Highlands or Nanahaven, they are the most properly prepared and educated kids, not only in North Carolina, but hopefully in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Goldsmith.
First, I'd like to say thank you, John, for the opportunity the people that came today. I'm impressed with all my colleagues up here. I think that anybody up here, from what I've heard, could make an excellent school board member. And the biggest thing, everybody has a heart for these kids and for what's best for the kids and teachers in Macon County. I feel very strongly about our country. And every day on television, we see all these threats to the United States. Terrorism, China, whatever it may be. Our biggest threat lies in not educating our young people. When you see young people, college students even, people on the street being asked questions about who the presidents of the United States are, or you hear them speak and the grammar is awful. Our biggest threat is from within, our ignorance. It's a scary, scary thing. When I walked into a civics class, every first day of school, 25, 30 students, I'd ask them, who is the governor of the state of North Carolina? Invariably, I might have one. I would die to ask the parents, but they never came. That is a scary thing. Our reading, our kids, we've got to be able to teach them how to read. They have to have more and more reading comprehension and to be reading things and learn about the United States, learn about our Constitution, the things that made us great. We will lose if we don't pass that on to the next generation. And I've got a real passion for that, seeing that done. And I think the budget's important. All these things are important. But somehow make sure that we get across where we've come from. And that's the only way we'll know where we're going. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Poindexter.
Mr. DeVille, I would like to thank you all for setting this up again and everybody that's came. Just a couple of things, and like I say, it won't take 2 minutes. I'll chime in with the rest of these gentlemen up here. Our children and grandchildren is one of the most important things we've got. People come to me and they allow me to work on their second most important investment in their life, and that's their home. The first most important investment in any one of our lives is our children and grandchildren. And I chime in, like I say, with the rest of them. We need to give them an opportunity for a good education. Now, will they accept that or not? In their young age, I don't know. We did kick in the middle. I was about 11th grade. But the thing is, all of us here, I don't know how young some of you are in the back car, but one of these days we're going to be gone. We're going to be out here. And what are we leaving for our children? The children need to be educated enough to deal with it and take care of it and have survival skills to carry on. And thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Key. You have the last word.
2 minutes? Thanks, John. I appreciate this. And like I say, we're preaching to the choir. Sure, I'd like to see this place filled up. It wasn't. But I think in the 12 years that I've been on this board that I've proven myself, you don't believe it, ask your children who Mr. Tommy is. Most of them know me. I don't know every kid. I'm not like a lunchroom lady that can name off their 4 digits in their name when they come through the lunch, but I know a lot of them. I'm not tied to any group that says, okay, here's what you're going to do. We're going to tell you what to do this week. I'm Tom K. I'm my man. I do what I think is best for the children. The other 4 don't agree with me. That's tough. But usually we'll all come to the same idea. They usually 4 can turn me. So we've made some good decisions over the last 12 years. We've built some good schools. We've graduated some top-notch students. We have some schools that are top-notch. We want to get them all to be schools of excellence. We can do it. Go to any school in this system, talk to the principal, talk to the teachers, and they'll tell you with just a little more help, they can all be schools of excellence. If you don't like what I've done, then it's time to get rid of it. If you do, vote for me, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank Thank you all very much, and I've got a lot of people to thank before we break, and one announcement to make. The first group of people I want to thank are the four gentlemen that are on the stage with me this evening. NCAE gives its locals the option of endorsing school board candidates. I would not want to try to parse this group that's up on the stage and try to figure out who's the best candidate. I feel exceptionally fortunate that we have four quality candidates who are as grounded and as centered and as articulate and as caring and as passionate and as reflective as the four men who have shared their opinions and their thoughts with us this evening, and I'd like to give them all a big hand, please. I would like to thank the members of the Western North Carolina media here with us this evening. Radio station 96.7, Macon County News and the Highland newspaper, and the Franklin Press and Highlander newspaper, as well as Mr. Bobby Coggins, the ubiquitous Thunder Pig. Bobby and I disagree 99% of the time. I don't know anybody who covers Macon County as diligently as he does in terms of showing up with that video camera wherever there's a story and puts it online with no commentary. That is one heck of a service that you provide. And again, to the other media representatives here, one of the reasons we don't have a lot of people here tonight is that everybody in Macon County knows that the reporters who are here this evening do a fantastic job of covering local government. All three outlets just do a fantastic job. So I think you enable us to be lazy and sit at home. I want to thank my building principal Barry Woody and Pam Cave and Chris Reese for helping me set this up. I want to thank custodian Connie Gills for setting the stage up for us and getting the sound system together for us this evening. I would like to thank all the members at NCAE. I especially want to thank my officers, Mary Price, my vice president, Laura Needs, secretary, Saul Vera, my treasurer, and my right-hand man and my timekeeper. And I also want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, Western North Carolina District Director Rena Sutton. This debate probably wouldn't happen because there wouldn't be an NCAE in Macon County if it wasn't for Rena and Alan Sutton. They basically were plasma donors for about a decade, keeping this local alive, and we're stronger than ever right now. We're going to have a march here in Franklin on Saturday morning, and we're one of 15 counties out of 100 counties in North Carolina where NCAE is going to have a march to the polls to raise awareness for early voting, which started today. And I encourage all of you to join us in that march. It is simply a march for education. We're going to meet in the parking lot of the courthouse between 8:30 and 8:45. We're going to march down Church Street. We're going to make a left onto Harrison, and we're going to march right up to Rena and Alton's house and make a left back towards the courthouse. And we will maybe make a few remarks there in the courthouse plaza. Then we're going to go inside and we're going to vote. Because, like the gentleman who were up at the stage, public education is near and dear to our hearts. So I would encourage all of you to please join us on that march if you're able to. Then after that, you can go roll a pumpkin down the hill, and that's one heck of a way to spend your Saturday. Thank you all for coming very much tonight. Thank you.